Hey everyone, ready to take a deep dive into the future of education.
It's exciting.
I was reading this article, how virtual classrooms will transform schools.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and it really got me thinking, are we really on the brink of like a total educational revolution?
Right.
Or are there going to be some serious roadblocks along the way? I mean,
Yeah, makes you wonder.
it does. And
Yeah.
I figure who better to unpack all of this with than you?
Well, let's see if we can figure it out.
Exactly. So first things first,
Yep.
this article, it doesn't paint virtual classrooms as like a straight up replacement
Yeah.
for traditional schools.
It's definitely more nuanced than that. It's about like blending online and in-person learning
Right.
to create a more, how do I say it, personalized
Yeah.
experience for each student.
And that's what really struck me. It's not just about like, watching lectures online anymore. They had this really cool example.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, a student in Nebraska learning coding from an engineer in Silicon Valley virtually. I mean, talk about breaking down geographical barriers.
Absolutely. And, that's where the real potential lies, I think. Think about students in underserved areas or those who have trouble physically getting to a school.
Right.
Suddenly they have access to a world of knowledge that they just,
Yeah.
didn't before. The article even mentioned a study that showed students in rural areas who had access to virtual mentoring programs, their test scores jumped significantly, like as much as 20% compared to those who didn't.
Wow. 20%.
Yes.
That's incredible.
Yeah, that's the kind of impact
Sure.
you're talking about here.
It makes you think about all the possibilities, especially for students who maybe haven't had access to the best resources. And, it's not just about location.
Yeah.
The article also talked about connecting students with experts all over the world. Like there was this example of a history class getting to talk live with an archaeologist at an excavation in Egypt.
That's so cool. Bringing in those diverse voices and those real world experiences, I think that's really invaluable.
Yeah.
It's going beyond the textbook,
Absolutely.
beyond the lecture and making learning come alive.
Oh, for sure.
Imagine learning about like ancient Rome
Yeah.
and being able to ask an archaeologist who's right there at a Roman dig
I know, right?
your questions. It's next level engagement.
It is. But I gotta admit,
Yeah.
a part of me still wonders, can all this tech really replace the magic of an actual classroom? Those face-to-face interactions,
Yeah.
with teachers and classmates, the energy of working on a group project, building friendships. I mean,
Oh, for sure.
those are all such a big part of the whole school experience,
Yeah,
right?
you're right. You've hit on a really, I think, a core concern that a lot of people have. And the article dives into that too.
Does it?
It does. It's not about like getting rid of human connections,
Right.
but more like finding ways to recreate those in a virtual space.
Okay, but how? I mean, the tech is amazing. Like we're talking AI tutors, immersive simulations. But can they really replicate those spontaneous aha moments?
I see what you mean. Yeah.
That's a good point.
Or the teamwork that just happens naturally in a classroom.
Some educators are pretty skeptical about that.
Yeah, the article mentioned that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, let's look at the skepticism, with the AI tutors, for example. It's not about replacing teachers completely,
Right.
but using AI to really, analyze a student's learning style and tailor lessons
Like
to their
that.
needs.
It's like having a personalized learning plan
Exactly.
built into the technology.
Yeah. You imagine a tutor who adjusts the pace and the content as you're going, based on how you're doing.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
That's powerful stuff.
It is, especially for students who need more support
Right.
or who learn at a different pace
Obviously.
than everyone else. But let's be real, focusing online is tough.
Boy, there are distractions everywhere. Social media, games, that pab with your favorite show just sitting there. It's so easy to get sidetracked when you're not in the classroom.
It is.
I've been there.
Oh, me too. And that's why the article talks about hybrid learning as
Okay.
a possible answer.
So not just choosing one or the other.
Right. Maybe it's about finding that sweet spot
Yeah.
that combines the best of both worlds,
Oh, that makes a lot of sense.
So imagine a week where you have some days in an actual classroom, for that hands-on collaborative learning.
Right.
And then other days you're virtual, tapping into those global connections and online resources.
That hybrid model, it just feels, I don't know.
Yeah.
It feels like a really smart way to create a learning experience
so too.
that's flexible, engaging, and truly meets the needs of each student.
I agree.
But before we get, I don't know, too carried away with all the cool possibilities,
Okay.
we have to talk about a big obstacle,
Yeah.
the digital divide.
Of
It's great to imagine virtual classrooms and global experts and all that.
Yeah.
But what about the students who don't have reliable internet access?
Right.
Or who can't afford the time they need to even participate?
You're absolutely right. And the article brings that up as well.
It does.
It does. It's a major barrier. And if we're serious about using virtual classrooms to make education fairer,
Yeah.
then closing that digital divide has to be like priority number one.
Oh.
We need to talk about things like expanding internet infrastructure, especially in rural and under-resourced communities.
Yeah.
And we need to make sure every student has access to devices and reliable service.
This isn't just some, like, abstract policy debate.
No, not at all.
This is about real kids, real futures.
Exactly.
And if we want every student to benefit,
Yeah.
we need to make sure everyone has a seat at the virtual table. You know what I mean?
I completely agree. It comes back to fairness and opportunity, and the decisions we make now about, access and investment will affect generations to come.
That's a powerful thought.
It is.
Yeah.
It really is.
And when we're talking about these kids and their futures,
Yeah.
it makes me think about another thing the article brought up.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, about how we make sure that virtual classrooms are helping kids develop those really important social skills.
Right.
Like collaborating and communicating, empathy, all that stuff.
Yeah, the stuff you learn from actually interacting with people.
Right, exactly. Not just staring at a screen all day.
That's a big one, right? Think about all those classic classroom moments,
Totally.
like working together on a group project or having a debate.
Yeah. Yeah.
Even just those little conversations you have in the hallway, between classes,
Right.
all those things, they help us learn how to see things from different perspectives, build relationships, develop that emotional intelligence, which is absolutely, so important for success.
It is, for sure.
And not just in a job, but in life.
Exactly. And it's not just those big, structured things. All right.
The article was saying how traditional classrooms, they're just constant social environments.
Right. That's true.
You're always observing social cues, learning to read body language.
Picking up on all those little things.
Exactly. Figuring out how to work with people who have different personalities.
Yeah.
All stuff you learn naturally, face to face.
So how do we get that
Right.
in a virtual space?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it?
I mean, we can do virtual group projects,
Yeah.
online discussion forums, but can those really, truly replace that real in-person connection?
Yeah, even the authors of the article
Okay.
kind of admitted that it's not a perfect solution.
I mean, I guess that's where the hybrid thing
That comes down
and
to
again, that balance, Maybe the key is to make sure there's enough in-person time to really help kids build those social skills
Right.
while still using all the cool stuff virtual learning
It's
offers.
just about recognizing that.
Yeah. Different types of learning
Totally.
need different environments, right?
I think so.
So we're seeing this theme of balance keep coming up. Balancing virtual and in-person.
Right.
Balancing access and opportunity.
Yep.
Balancing tech with human connection.
Absolutely.
It feels like finding that sweet spot is going to be key
It is.
as we figure out this whole
It is.
new educational landscape.
Yeah, absolutely.
But I'm curious,
Yeah.
if we're totally rethinking the structure of education, does that mean we need to rethink how we measure success too?
Ooh, good question.
Like, are grades and standardized tests still the be-all and end-all?
Yeah.
Are there other things we should be looking at?
The article touched on that a bit, the idea of
Okay.
reevaluating our assessments.
Yeah.
If we're moving toward a more personalized approach to learning where it's more about skills,
Yeah.
then our assessments need to reflect that.
Right. Because it's not just about memorizing facts.
Yeah. No, not at all.
It's about being able to,
Right.
solve problems, think critically, collaborate.
Those 21st century skills.
Exactly. So how do we measure that stuff in a way that actually makes sense?
That's where things get interesting, I think. The article talked about some different ways to assess kids.
Oh, like what?
Things like project-based learning, where students actually show what they can do.
Okay.
Portfolio assessments, which show how much they've grown.
Like that.
And even simulations, where they can use their knowledge in a more interactive way.
So it's not just about those old multiple choice tests anymore.
Exactly. It's about figuring out how to see their skills in action.
I love that.
Yeah.
It's about making those learning experiences not just fun, but actually relevant to what they'll need to succeed in the real world.
Absolutely. And that brings us to another point the article made about the connection between virtual learning and what jobs will be like in the future. Some people think that virtual classrooms could give students a real advantage.
Oh, interesting.
In a world where remote work and digital skills are becoming so important.
So it's almost like training for the future workforce.
Kind of. Think about it. If you're comfortable using online platforms, communicating virtually, working on projects remotely, those are skills pretty much every industry needs.
That's true. And it's not just the tech stuff either, right?
Right.
Virtual learning helps you learn how to, manage your time, stay focused, be motivated.
Exactly. All those things are important.
Even when you're not in a classroom.
For any job.
For any job. Good point. But the article did bring up a counterpoint to all this.
Okay.
They were saying, are we so focused on all these digital skills that we're forgetting about, like the people skills?
The interpersonal stuff.
Yeah. Even in a digital world, you still got to be able to,
For sure.
build relationships, talk to people face to face, work together in person.
That's not going away anytime soon.
Right. It all comes back to that balance again.
There it is. It's not about choosing one or the other, digital or interpersonal.
Yeah.
It's about having both.
It's about being well-rounded.
Exactly.
Wow. This whole conversation about virtual classrooms,
Yeah.
it's about so much more than just technology, isn't it?
It really is.
It's making us rethink, the whole point of education.
I know, right?
What we teach, how we teach it, how we measure success, and how we get kids ready for a future that's,
Well, it's
constantly changing.
You said it. It's a huge shift.
It is.
And it's happening whether we're ready or not.
That's true.
But you know what? I think even though it can feel kind of scary, there's also a sense of excitement here.
Yeah, very.
We have a chance to create something totally new.
Totally.
It's something more personalized, more accessible, more engaging.
It's both exciting and overwhelming.
Oh, I know. It's a
Okay.
huge responsibility.
It is.
But it's also this incredible opportunity.
That's a good way to put it.
I think the key is to just be curious and open-minded,
Yeah.
To be willing to try things out, to learn from our mistakes, and to change as we go.
No one right answer.
Exactly. No one size fits all.
So what does all this mean for you, the listener?
Yeah, good question.
We've covered a lot of ground here,
We have.
but it's just the start of the conversation, really.
That's what I love about it,
Yeah,
Virtual classrooms have the power to totally change how we learn.
it's true.
But it's up to all of us to make sure those changes are good for everyone.
It's about finding that balance
Mm-hmm.
between the amazing things technology can do and the human connection that's so important.
Absolutely.
It's about making sure that in the future, learning is accessible and engaging and empowers everyone.
I love that.
So where do we go from here? I mean, we've talked about so much. The potential, the challenges, that need for balance.
Yeah.
It's a lot to think about. What are your thoughts? What kind of future do you see for education?
That's the big question.
It is.
And honestly, there's no easy answer.
Right.
But I think the first step is just being aware of these issues.
Yeah.
Having these conversations, and really thinking about what kind of learning experiences we want for ourselves and for the next generation.
This whole deep dive has really got me thinking.
Yeah.
If I were designing the perfect educational experience,
Okay.
it would have to be personalized, right? Engaging, relevant to the real world.
For sure.
It would use all the amazing things technology can do
Yeah.
to connect students with experts all over the globe.
Yeah.
But it would also really prioritize those face-to-face interactions.
Right.
That sense of community.
Yeah.
That feeling of belonging,
Totally.
all that stuff that's so important for learning and growing.
Absolutely. That's a tall order.
It is.
Yeah.
But that's what's so cool about it.
Right.
We have this chance to reimagine education,
I know.
to break free from those old rigid ways of doing things.
Yeah.
And create something totally new and different.
I love it.
And who knows, maybe you, the listener,
Yeah.
will be the one to come up with the next big thing in education.
You never know. That's what I love about
Yeah.
exploring these topics. It opens up so many possibilities.
That's exactly what we were hoping this deep dive would do.
Yeah.
To spark your curiosity.
Yeah.
Maybe challenge some of your assumptions.
For sure.
And hopefully even inspire you to think differently about the future of education.
It's exciting stuff.
It is. So keep exploring, keep asking questions, and never stop imagining what could be.
Because ultimately, the future of learning is in our hands.
That's it for our deep dive into the world of virtual classrooms. Thanks for joining us. We hope you found it insightful, thought-provoking, and maybe even a little bit inspiring. Until next time, keep those brains buzzing.